recently I uploaded a video in the new series, Mid Media, and for that video I talked about the movie Ichi the Killer. Now I enjoyed making that video. It was a little bit of a change of pace compared to, say, Joshi's Journey or anything else I've made previously, so I wanted to keep making videos like that. Of course, the problem is what to watch next, right? And I was kind of struggling to figure out what to watch next, not for the lack of options, but actually because I have a lot of options. And I couldn't figure out what I wanted to watch. So I decided to put everything on a wheel and let that decide for me. So let the wheel decide what movie I was going to watch next. And it chose Ringu. Or Ringu. Really depends. I'm not Japanese. Now, I don't think I really need to explain the plot of this movie, considering, well, if you have a pulse, you've basically heard of this movie, okay? It's impossible to ignore it. If you haven't seen it, you've definitely at least heard it. Whether that's from the original, this movie, or the American remake, or fuck it, even the Korean remake. But before we hop into the movie, I need to at least give some backstory on where this came from. Right? Seems like a good start. The movie is based on a novel of the same name written by Koji Suzuki. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't know anything about it, okay? I just felt like I needed to mention it so that way people didn't jump into the comments going,
hey, you didn't talk about the book.
Okay, I know I didn't talk about the book, but at least if I bring it up, like, hey, this was originally based on a novel, maybe I could cool down some people from getting mad. One thing I thought was a bit funny while looking up research for this movie was that this movie was distributed by Toho. You know, the same people who come out with all the kaiju and anime movies. But yet again, that shouldn't be surprising, as Toho's essentially been around since the beginning of time. So it's basically no wonder that they've at some points dipped their toes into horror. But I do think it's a little bit funny to think that the same people coming out with Godzilla put out this movie. Like, that'd be like Disney coming out with like Frozen, and like later that same year coming out with like The Hills Have Eyes. The movie starts with two girls, Tomoko and, well, the other girl's not important. They're talking about a tape where whoever watches it will die in about a week.
お前は1週間後に死ぬって
They both laugh it off as just some myth until Tomoko ends up dead from some unknown force. Actually, that scene's about to happen right now. We're then introduced to Tomoko's aunt, Reiko Asakawa, a journalist, single mother, and of course, our main character, who is running a story on this mysterious tape. And while at Tomoko's funeral, she learns that Tomoko had watched the mysterious tape. Reiko, wanting to find out more about the tape, goes to the place that Tomoko and her friends watched the tape. Reiko finds the tape. I feel like I'm saying tape a lot. Reiko finds the tape and watches it. You know, because the tape that's supposed to kill you, which you now already have evidence that it in fact is true, it does kill you. Why not? Go ahead and watch it. Don't just destroy it, and just in case it turns out to be true, you know, it's gone. You don't have to worry about it ever again. No, fuck it. Watch it. By yourself even. I'm sure nothing could go wrong by watching this tape. After watching the tape, she then gets a call on the phone telling her that she will die in exactly 1 week. And so she does the only thing she could think of. Call her ex-husband Ryuji. The two figure out that the tape places a curse on whoever watches it, obviously. And they try to decipher the message on the tape to hopefully lift the curse. The two find out that the tape is from Oshima Island, so they head there to find out who is behind it. Reiko decides to leave her son Yoichi with her father while she tries to lift the curse. And while there, she catches Yoichi watching the tape, now making him cursed as well. So now that's two people who have been cursed because of her. She asks Yoichi why he watched it. He tells her that Tomoko told him to. Now I don't know if you remember, but Tomoko is fucking dead. So now Reiko is even more adamant on lifting the curse in order to save her son. As they arrive in Oshima, Reiko and Ryuji learn about Shizuko Yamamura, who had psychic abilities. After predicting the eruption of a volcano, she would show off these abilities at public demonstrations run by a researcher named Dr. Haihachiro Ikuma. But after the newspapers would lambast her, she would go crazy and would commit... Yeah, I probably can't say that. She would end credits herself. Reiko and Ryuji go to an inn run by Shizuko's cousin Takashi, hoping to find out more about Shizuko and the curse. But Takashi's not interested in talking. Later, Ryuji asks Takashi about Shizuko, and I guess this time, he's okay with talking about her. I don't know what the problem was before, but okay. But then things get a little too personal, and Takashi backs out, but Ryuji's not having it, and says that he too has psychic abilities, and reveals that Takashi introduced Shizuko to Dr. Ikuma in order to make money off of her. Ryuji then grabs Takashi's hand and sees a flashback. Where the fuck did this come from? I don't remember being told that this fucker was secretly an X-Men. In the flashback, we see Shizuko doing a demonstration in front of some journalists, and they start calling her a fraud and saying she doesn't have any powers, and that she's being used by Dr. Ikuma and Takashi. And during this, Shizuko's daughter... Oh, by the way, Shizuko has a daughter, presumably with Dr. Ikuma. Shizuko's daughter, Sadako, just makes a man drop dead on the spot. And how the movie describes it is she just wanted him to die, so then he just dies. Bit of a shit power, to be honest. I mean, what if she's just mad in the moment and wants someone to die, but then she just realizes she was overreacting? It's a bit late, don't you think? During the flashback, somehow Reiko not only sees it, but is transported there. Yeah, what? While there, Sadako grabs Reiko's wrist, and it somehow leaves a mark on her. Yeah, okay, movie. You lost me. So now they know Sadako is behind the curse. Now they just need to find Sadako to break it. Slight problem with that, though. Sadako's dead. Reiko realizes that it must have something to do with the cabin from before, as when she got the phone call, she was in the cabin, and Ryuji, who wasn't in the cabin, didn't get a phone call. So the two head for the cabin. When they arrive, they break their way through the crawl space, where they find a well. The same well from the video, but it's been sealed. When touching the cover, Reiko then sees a vision. In this vision, Reiko sees that Dr. Ikuma had thrown Sadako in the well and sealed it up so she can't escape. Damn, and I thought my dad was bad. After the two remove the seal, they decide that the best way to find Sadako's body is to drain the well one bucket at a time. You do realize you're on a time crunch here, right? Is this really the best thing you could come up with? What next? You're gonna count the sand in the desert? After Ryuji and Reiko switch places, Reiko decides to feel around in the water for Sadako's body. And do you know what? She finds it! Really should have been the first thing you did. Now having found Sadako's body, the curse has now been lifted. Everyone now returns to their lives as they were. Wait a second. Why is the movie still going? It should be over, right? They saved Sadako. Why is it still going? That's right, the curse was never lifted. Reiko was cursed, but when she copied the tape and then showed it to Ryuji, the curse was then transferred to Ryuji. But of course that still leaves Yoichi. So, in order to save her son, Reiko rides off with the tape and a VHS player to presumably transfer the curse to someone else. But before we find out, the movie fades to black. It's no wonder this movie is as iconic as it is, okay? The cinematography is great, the sound design is great, the atmosphere that is created through the movie is absolutely great. The fucking end of the movie where Sadako climbs out of the TV is one of the most scariest things I've ever fucking seen. I think this movie really earns its place as like one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. This movie changed the game of horror. Like, so many fucking movies, TV shows, games are influenced from this thing. Like, that's how good the premise is. This movie was a major part in popularizing Japanese horror, like, to a worldwide audience. This movie was so successful that it spawned 2 remakes of it, an American one and a Korean one. And at least with the American one, that one also did really fucking successful. So much so that it also spawned a bunch of sequels. Now, do those movies hold up? I don't know. Maybe that's a video for a different time. But with that, I think that shows how much of a pop culture fucking monster this movie is. Like, I'm pretty sure you who clicked on this video probably knew what the plot of this movie was before even clicking on this video. That's how fucking big this movie is. Okay? Now, of course, this movie isn't without its flaws. I think Ryuji just randomly getting powers halfway through the movie, fuck it, near the end of the movie, like, is so weird and out of left field. What are all these flashbacks? Why are all these flashbacks? Why is it that Yoichi, who says that Tomoko told him to watch the movie, that's never really explained? Maybe it's that Sadako has a way to influence people into watching it, but I don't know. It's not really explained. Why is it that Ryuji didn't have the curse lifted? Like, this movie doesn't really make sense to have sequels because they already found Sadako's body. What if it was fucking Ryuji supposed to do? Go around Japan and hope that Sadako had multiple bodies to find? Like, what? Is she like a scavenger hunt of fucking her own body in Japan, just spread around? Oh, well, you found the one over here, but you didn't find my body that's up in Hokkaido, so you gotta go find that one to save you. Doesn't really make sense. But with all those problems, I think that it's time for my opinion, right? Okay, so did I like it? Yeah, I liked it. It's a fucking classic for a reason. I think this movie holds up. I think it's really good. If you're a fan of J-horror or just horror in general, I think that you should check it out. At least to see what this movie, maybe you've watched a movie that this movie, influenced. It's always nice to see what influenced those movies, to see where they got the ideas from. And, this movie's really good. I don't think you'll be disappointed with the movie. I think, I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so I would recommend. So this is the first out of 2, because I know I did not recommend Ichi the Killer, okay? But I do recommend this, okay? But with that being said, that's the end of this. If you have any recommendations for what I should watch next, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I'm not too picky about what I need to, what to watch. Right now I've been kind of on a big horror kick, like, J-horror, but I can watch other things. Comedy, whatever. I'm cool with it. Go ahead, just throw it in there. I don't care. If it's TV, you could throw a TV show too. I'll watch some TV show. Okay, so throw in whatever you think might be interesting for me to watch. Go ahead and throw it in the comments. But yeah, go check out the second channel. Yeah, go check that out. I have a podcast that I started to do, which is done live on my Twitch channel, but then is re-uploaded onto the second channel. So fucking check it out. Go check out all the socials, I guess, whatever, I don't care. But yeah, that's it. Bye.
Fucking degenerate.